I would like to welcome you to our Monday, not a Tuesday, but Monday, April 24th, 2020, regular board meeting. I will ask, well, of course, everyone know I'm Patricia, the chair. I would just like to take the time to acknowledge and welcome each and every one of you who are here tonight. We will start with invocation, from there pledge. And can I get Miss Flitch? Everyone stand, please.
Dear Father, please be with us, each and every one of us tonight. Guide us and direct us. Take all of our collective knowledge and use it to the good of this district and the students and the staff. Please be on our hearts and minds as we make decisions that could impact us for the upcoming school year and for years to come. Let us put aside any feelings that we may have. Let us put aside any resentments that we may have, and let's just focus on what is important, all of our students and all of our staff and these buildings that we're making decisions for. Be with each one of the board members as they're making these decisions, because it's a tough job. Be with each one of the staff members as we request for action on these decisions. Just remember that we all want the same thing. We all want the students to succeed, and we want the staff to be happy when they come to work. And we know that there's a lot of things weighing on Dr. Cave's shoulders. Please be with her as she makes those decisions. Please remember all of us as we spend the next couple of hours at this meeting, and then give us safe traveling mercies home. In your precious and holy name, amen.
Amen. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. I would like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda for tonight, Monday, April 24th, 2023, amended regular board meeting.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we approve the agenda as presented.
Can I get a second, please? I have a motion. I have a second. If all in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
with one being missing, Ms. Jones.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to address a concern that was brought to my attention after the committee of the whole meeting last week. I would like to apologize to district staff in the identification of specific positions, some not even funded by a general fund, in the transparent process of the creation of the 2023-2024 general fund budget. The budget balancing process can be difficult, but so is the process of providing a positive learning environment for our students. It is of the most important, our students. So thank you to our staff for contacting me about this position, and also to community members for sharing these concerns. We work humbly for you, and we appreciate greatly all that our staff does to create this positive learning environment. I'm sorry we addressed positions that gave the perception of unappreciation and disdain for the work that our Board of Trustees does. I can only end by saying that I know that it is people and it is not money that teach our children. And so to our staff, I say thank you. Thank you, Ms. Taylor.
As chairman report, I entertain a motion that we approve minutes from regular board meeting March 21st, 2023, special board meeting budget workshop March 23rd, 2023, special board meeting April 4th, 2023, and a special board meeting budget workshop, the second, number 2, April 4th, 2023.
Madam Chairman, I want to make an amendment to the April 4th minutes as presented on page 3. There was a seconded that will be filled in at a later time.
Correct.
Otherwise, I make a motion to approve the minutes as provided.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous. We're talking about, right now, the superintendent evaluation process. We have a rubric. It was given to each board member on the committee of a whole, and we will further discuss this in executive session with the attorneys. Is there anything that you all want to add on, attorneys? Okay. And also, I would let you know that we do have a policy meeting that is scheduled. We decided to go with, I think it's May 1st at 5 o'clock.
And that's next Monday.
Yes.
Madam Chair, do we need to wait until item number 6.02 in order to discuss that, or do you want to go ahead and discuss that now?
Item what now? 2 point what?
It's on the agenda as item 6.02 about the policy committee meeting. I didn't know if you wanted to wait. I just have a discussion point about that. I didn't know if you wanted to wait till then.
It's already scheduled. We still can discuss it at that time again if
Okay.
you need to. If not,
Yes, ma'am, I'll wait until then.
It's already scheduled, so. We will go with recognition. Sharon Wickens.
Thank you, Ms. Simmons. At this time, I recognize Dr. Cave or Mr. Blakeney for the Clean School of the Month. Good evening.
Again, it's a pleasure to come before you to share with you the Clean Schools and Safe Schools Month for the month of March. We've got something a little unusual tonight. We've got a couple ties.
Oh.
Being all fair.
Mr. Blakeney, is your mic on?
How about now?
There you go.
So being fair, we've invited all the people that tied to come forward. However, I don't see many of them. But Mr. Joe, would you come forward?
I know it had to do something with Mr. Joe.
I'm pretty sure if Joe's the only one that showed up, that breaks the tie, right?
Is there anybody here from TCTC? Yeah. Okay. Okay, with the score of 72, tied for third place, Forest Hills and Northside Elementary Schools. With a score of 73, tied for second place with a score of 73, Blackstreet Early Childhood Center and Thunderbolt Career and Technology Center. And in first place with a score of 77, Colleton County High School.
All right.
All right.
Also, the Horizon winner, which is the team that generates the most points from month to month, 7-point increase, Colleton County High School.
Nice job.
Thank you very much. That concludes the report.
Thank you, Mr. Blakeney. Dr.
Thank you.
Dr. Cable, we have student and staff recognitions next month. Okay, thank you. That completes our report.
Thank you, Ms. Wickens. We will now go into public input. Sharon will read your guideline, and just remember Ms. Riddell will be taking your minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Simmons. The board welcomes the opportunity for you to share information concerning the district. Be sure to follow these guidelines as you address the board. There's nothing in the law or anyone here that prevents you from saying anything you wish to say. Please try to refrain from commenting on any pending student or employee discipline or grievance matter. What you say will become public information, which is subject to the Freedom of Information Act laws. If you choose to call specific employee names, we suggest that you do not. It's the board chairman's duty to inform you that you could also be subject to defamation laws according to your statements. Present your comments without using offensive language or making comments in a disrespectful manner. School district policy allows you 3 minutes, and Ms. Riddell will let you know when your time is up. Board members and the superintendent are not required to respond to your comments unless they choose, and we can end your comments at our choosing. We want to thank you at all for your comments.
My first person is Cindy Roberts.
Hi.
Hello.
I wanted to come up here and speak to y'all with regards to people that attend these meetings. We come to these meetings to see how the district is being run. As for you, the school board members, the progress of our district can only be made by people like you taking time out of your life to
Would you
serve
talk
this
into your mic,
community.
please?
Is it not?
Yeah.
Your position is very important because you are taking on the role of serving the interest of our community and ensuring that our children receive a quality education in a safe environment. The work you do will ultimately determine the future progress of Colleton County. The role of school board member cannot be done by just assuming the title. You must ask the questions and perform the actions that are in the best interest. Asking tough questions like, where's the money going? How is it being spent? And what results will we be getting for these actions? Also, making sure we have money to pay the bills and our incoming revenue for the year is instrumental in determining the financial health of our district. These are not easy questions to ask, but to truly be transparent, they must be asked, and decisions must be made based on those answers. We applaud the board members that are continuing to work towards transparency and accountability. We applaud and appreciate the board members who have been asking those detailed questions so that everyone understands just how the money is being spent. This is a good thing for our community, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next person is Mr. David Hill.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. Just a couple points I want to talk about. Last month, there was a statement about making on the website, open to the public about where we could find what capital projects are, see the budget, etc. I just want to remind the board that was still going on, if we could get something on that. I also want to speak about the renovation in the middle school. I understand that we're trying to innovate, come up with some new things. But with the new charter schools, I've heard, one's already, and I've heard there might be another one, might be a rumor, but even if we're projected to lose only 1,000 students to that, we're projecting a 30-to-1 teacher-to-student ratio, that's another 33 empty classrooms on top of the 15 or so that are already scheduled to be after the renovation. It just doesn't make that much sense to do it now. Why aren't we just doing what has to be done? Instead of remodeling 1/3 of the building and spending $10 million, spend a quarter of that and do what the emergent is, the fire, mostly the fire and the HVAC. Wait and see what happens. See how many kids we actually lose, how many teachers we lose, what our budget's actually going to be, because it's going to drop. And you're going to get in a place where we're scrounging for money and everything else. You lost where I was at. Oh, everything you do, and I appreciate it so much, especially now you're coming down to you're actually looking at the budget, thinking of the budget, actually line items, and everything comes down to money. Money doesn't teach the kids. Money allows the kids to be taught. All of y'all were elected for the betterment of the children, the parents, and the community. And all of that is going to be done on how you spend taxpayer money. Another thing we're concerned... Oh, hell, went right through that. I'll just say this. When the superintendent was under review from the board, this place was packed. Some people even got up and spoke, said horrible things about the board. They hadn't been here before. They had no reason, no idea why you were even considering her contract. As soon as she's not on the agenda, the place was empty. There was 3 of us last month. A little bit more this month, but we need participation from the parents especially and the community. Empty rooms don't help for anything. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now go into old business, review of Prismatic service. Dr. Cave, you gonna do the update on that? First of all, is there a question?
I don't have a question. I'm going to make a motion, but we can allow Dr. Cave to say whatever she needs to about Prismatic.
The Prismatic contract was an extension of our salary study. Currently, they work with the district on a monthly basis. They are currently assigned primarily to work with our transportation department. Our transportation department is going through an organizational kind of reorganizing. We are moving from one routing software to a new routing software. They spent a lot of time getting them organized and helping them with the routing software. They actually go through the training themselves so that we can get all our children in the proper routes, at the proper stops, so that we can utilize the staff that we currently have in the most effective manner. They're also working with the high school on some scheduling so that we're able to redesign our high school more effectively and that we're able to maximize the staff that we do have with our current teacher shortage. That is currently what they're doing. Their contract currently ends in the summer, about May or June. That's it at this point.
Is there any other question for Dr. Cave? Not, I'll go ahead and...
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion that we cancel the scope of work agreement with Prismatic Services Incorporated, voted by and supported by the previous board for consulting services. Consulting services shall conclude May 31st, 2023, and concluding the final month of services, consulting shall not exceed the estimated 35 to 40 hours of work or fees estimate of a maximum of $4,800 as stated within the scope of work.
I second it.
All in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand.
If you want to do a discussion.
They already discussed. Did you guys want to discuss anything else about this?
I don't have anything.
That's what I said.
I just wanted to say that the Prismatic, that we've been in the scope of the agreement, scope of work agreement with them for a year, and I think that they've obviously provided the district with a lot of help over the last year, but I do think that given the expense monthly that, you know, that we probably should be close to the end, which is why it makes sense to conclude at the end of May.
Dr. Cave, everything that was scheduled for them to go through, has it been completed? Or?
It has not been completed. I'll work with them to see if I can get it completed by them by the end of May. If not, I can employ them as a consultant for me under a separate contract.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more questions? If there is none, all in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. All opposed? We will move along. We will go into new business. The community is requesting naming the high school football field. Dr. Cave, if you want to enlighten us on that.
I brought that to the board at the last meeting. It is now a part of the chairman's responsibility to organize and to appoint a committee. based upon board policy. So a committee should be appointed if the board decides to move forward with organizing the committee and taking additional ideas from the community involved in naming the stadium. That's where we are.
Okay, is there any more questions?
Madam Chair, if I could.
It's a question for me?
No, ma'am, I'm sorry. I'd like to make a motion that we, first and foremost, I would like to thank the ones that brought forward the information and the request to name the stadium after these two gentlemen. I've actually taken the opportunity to speak to several people in the community about both these gentlemen and try to get some feedback from the community just to, to see how they felt. I just feel like right now we've got a lot on our plate with budget and trying to get the sixth grade or middle school underway, and I would like to get an opportunity for the rest of the board to talk to the community and possibly put that out in the future, as the policy says. Just maybe continue that another month or two until we have a little less going on.
Well, that's why we're going to do, we need to form a committee, and that committee will get out there and get the information that is needed. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. But I will select a committee. I will get back with you all to let you know who will be serving on that committee, and then we will work towards that.
Madam Chair, according to the policy, the committee that's appointed at the board's discretion is one of the last things that happens in the naming of the facilities.
Well, in order to get the information that is needed, you need a committee to get out and get the information that is needed.
No, ma'am, that's not what the policy says. The policy says the board at its discretion may solicit public input by announcing the request for possible names in the local newspapers for 2 consecutive weeks, stating a deadline for submission of names. There are other parts of this policy here that outline exactly how we go about doing this, and the committee is down at the bottom right before the final selection is made. And I want to echo what Mr. Stivender said. I'm all about looking at this, but I don't think this is something that we need to be tackling at this moment. We have a huge crisis with our budget and trying to make sure that we can get it at a level that we can move forward with. We have staffing shortages where we're trying to figure out where we're going to come up with teachers to actually teach our children next year. And we also have this looming renovation or building project or whatever we want to call it. I just think there are other things that need to have our attention right now instead of focusing on this.
Well, I didn't bring it to the committee. I didn't bring it to the board to put it on the agenda. It was upon whose request. So I'm just following through with it. A lot of the situation that is going on, we have people in places to do what they need to do. But, all is well. I understand that there are most of the board who has name of whom you would like to name after. That information was not brought to my attention.
It was in the email provided.
Well, Madam Chair, at this time, we don't have but 2 names that I've heard toward this particular event. So, I mean, I don't see the way the problem is to form the committee and say, yes, we'll do it or not. I mean, I just can't see where's the hold up or what's the weight on it, just when we got only 2 names, and the 2 names that we have are the names for that particular building. So I just don't see the problem. I mean,
Well, the problem, according to board policy, is this should be have community input, and I do not think the community as a whole has had an opportunity to have input in this. It is my understanding that this recommendation has come from a very small portion of the community, and the entire community has not been made aware of this. So if we're going to do it correctly, and we're going to do it according to the policy, then we need to give the entire community an opportunity to weigh in on this. And again, I just don't think that's something that we need to be worrying about at this particular time.
so if what it would take for the community to be informed about it.
The policy says that it needs to be put in the local newspaper for 2 consecutive weeks.
Oh, let's put it in the newspaper for 2 consecutive weeks and get a response back. That solves that.
Yes, sir. May I make a motion then that we move forward according to policy, Madam Chairman, to place this request in the newspaper and also at the board's discretion appoint a committee that can further research this and report back to the board?
That's a motion?
Yes.
Second.
All in favor of the motion? Well, if there is no discussion, all in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous.
We'll work towards that. Thank you.
Yes. And for 6.02, we have come up with a date for the policy, which I had mentioned prior, for May 1st at 5 o'clock.
Madam Chairman, is that a committee meeting for the policy committee, or is that a meeting for the entire board?
That is a policy committee meeting.
Madam Chairman, at the last meeting, which I am sorry that you were unable to attend, I made a recommendation as Mr. Murdoch was acting as chair in that moment, that we actually, our next policy meeting should be a work session of the entire board, because we have several policies that we need to address, especially as going into next year. The cell phone policy, the uniform policy, those things are already in place. They don't need necessarily to be amended, but this board as a whole needs to decide whether or not we're going to keep those policies in place, whether we're going to amend them, or whether we're going to do away with them. The issue that we have right now is we have policies in place to deal with things that we're not enforcing. So going into the next year, this board as a whole needs to make some decisions about some of the policies that we have. And I think rather than having a policy committee meeting, we just need to have a policy work session with the entire board in attendance.
Well, that's not how we do things. We have a policy committee, and this is what we do. We call the meeting, and the policy committee comes in. We then discuss with the board. I mean, we're going by policies, and we're going by this. This is the organization of how we commit, and we have our policy committee meeting. This is how the board have always handled. This is what I'm asking, that we meet on May 1st at 5 o'clock. We discuss. Anything else that needs to come before the board, we can do that.
You make that a motion, or is it just discussion?
It's a discussion, they don't need a motion. So we have a board meeting, a policy meeting for May 1st at 5 o'clock.
So for clarification on that, are we going to discuss these other policies at that following board meeting after?
It's the policy committee.
Correct.
So
I'm referring to
if you are interested in a policy that you want us to take a look at while we're in the meeting, you can contact Riddell and let her know the specific policy that you're interested in, or send it to me, and we will review that at the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. If there is no other question, we will go to superintendent report. Ms. Jones is not here, so I would ask Dr. Cave, would you please come up?
Okay, I provided my superintendent's report at our committee of the whole. I provided some additional documents that were requested. So the only thing that I have tonight is the action item for the facility report. Do you have any questions for me about the facility report? That's the only additional piece for me tonight.
I don't have any questions. I just want to thank you for the configuration report that provides documentation on the benefit of sixth graders back into an elementary setting, or not back, but keeping sixth graders along with elementary students. And I think that that is a positive movement for our district to benefit our students. I feel like as we prepare for any type of facility changes, though, we do need better preparation for a change. And so I'd like to make a motion that we proceed with the district facility changes necessary for creating an elementary alternative setting and relocating our sixth grade students to the elementary school setting in 2024-25. That would be the next school year. I feel like utilizing input from CCS staff and stakeholders, I want to make the motion that our district create a complete outline of necessary adjustments and plans to include all facility and HR needs, and that this plan be approved by the school board and communicated with the public by January the 30th, 2024.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, we gonna continue to wait and do things at a pace where we know this thing has been going on. We're making these changes to better our students. If this board continue to set us back, we are only hurting our children. We're not hurting each other, we're hurting our children. And it is not fair for this board to continue to do those kind of things that it just don't make sense.
Dr. Cave, I appreciate the research that you provided for how common planning, like I'm sure that we do as best we can in the middle school while we're waiting on the project to unfold with proper planning. The common planning that teachers do and working together with a common group of students, as research shows, is what really does impact our children, and particularly at the middle grades. Even when this was a middle school, teachers could commonly plan and work together for a common group of kids. So even if it's two, when it's more, it's better, but two teachers planning together for a common group of kids. So as we're pausing to get everything in order for movement, if we proceed that way, continue to work with teachers, give them their common planning for common kids, because it's all about that teacher-student element and teachers working together for our students.
What are we gonna do with the funds that ESSA funds that we had allocated for this project?
We'll have to make some adjustments. The money has to be spent by September 30th, 2024. So I'll work with staff on making adjustments to that money.
And once this money is done, we won't have that no more, until we won't be able to do it even in 2024.
That's correct.
Dr. Cave, your research also highlights that fifth graders that aren't ready to go to the middle school setting, let's make sure, I know you're trying to follow policies and put those in place, that kids are not socially promoted, but keep those fifth grade back. Now that we know we have room at all our schools, keep those fifth graders that aren't ready for the middle school academic setting, keep them in the elementary setting.
Well, go ahead.
I agree with Ms. Strobel. I think that they should be kept in the elementary setting. I just feel that we need to do a better job in preparing our district and trying to utilize the feedback from our staff, our community, better preparing them for a change such as this is not a setback, but instead a better preparation for what will be successful for our students.
I'm not in favor of keeping children back in the fifth grade who are not necessarily ready for the next grade. What I am in favor of is providing the children the additional support that they need in order to be ready to move to the next grade level, and providing them those interventions through summer school and those different kinds of opportunities that we can provide for them to be able to move to the next grade level. Research says that retention is not in the best interest of all children. So we'll do the best that we can with what we have, and we'll continue to move forward. I just publicly say that I think that the board is making the wrong decision at this time, but I just want the community to know that I will continue to do my very best, to give my very best for the children, because the children in this community deserve the very best. We do not have an alternative school. We do not have an alternative environment for our elementary students, and our elementary students are suffering each and every single day from social and emotional learning that they really, really need, from traumatic stress, and we need to be able to have an intermittent environment for our children to be able to go to. Our school now, for our alternative learning setting, only can hold 40 children. It's housed here at our district office. I'm not sure how we're going to be able to move forward. We have teachers who come to us on a daily basis that say that we need additional support, alternative learning. We need a center-based program. There are so many things that our school district needs for the children here. And I'm going to continue to advocate for the children, the 4,958 as of today, that need something different.
Thank you, Dr. Cave. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your sharing your concern about the decision this board has not yet made, but you're assuming that we're making. And I want to make note, too, that we have to make sure that whereas ideas are great, we've got to make sure that the preparation is behind them. And this district has continuously made decisions about facilities, and we turn around and the idea is not as great. We end up building a middle school, a new high school. We have a middle school that's too large for the student enrollment that we have. So to take a closer look and better prepare is my way as a board member to listen to those that put me here and to do the best that I can. So that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, totally understood that. I was not here when the board made all those decisions, and neither when any of those decisions were made. I understood. They put all of the schools, they put all of the middle school students together. Totally understood that. That was previous board, previous superintendent.
Absolutely.
Totally get that.
And
yes.
you and I are
and
not
I'm
part of
giving,
that decision.
Yes, ma'am.
But we have to make this decision together
totally
and move forward
understand.
together as a district. So
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
what I'm going to do.
And I'm going to advocate for what I know is best
And I know when
professionally.
Mr. Jenkins were here, that was his biggest concern about that middle school. And
I want to be able to say every single day that the children are well. Right now, I can't say the children are well.
And we have to look at the full picture of it all. It seemed like we kind of neglect the factor that we were in state takeover, and we have school that is no longer there. So I would say that our superintendent is doing something that is right. And, I've never been to a board meeting where I've had people come in and it's so, I wish that these people that are here and showing their concern, I wish that you were here way before, way before. All of a sudden, we come out of state takeover, and now it's
Not
like
been a state takeover. We've had priority schools, not state takeover.
I'm talking.
Okay.
And, people
Yeah,
are
but
now
that's
coming in and saying, hey, this is not happening. Give accountability where accountability is. We have to build together. We can't tear down together, and when it all reflects, it's not reflecting on either one of us. It's our children that are at loss. And this is what we need to take in consideration. Take our personal self out and put our children in.
Madam Chairman, I would be curious as to if the other board members looked at this research that Dr. Cave provided us with, because it actually says the most advantageous configuration proved to be placing 6th and 7th grade students in elementary buildings and assigning 8th grade students to the high school. The research that we were provided with says put 7th and 6th grades in the elementary school and put 8th graders in the high school. I would just be curious which one of you thinks that would be a good idea. The research goes on to say that a team of 2 teachers, both delivering multiple core curricula to 50 students, produced a significantly higher effect on student social bonding to include peers, school, and teachers. This negates the entire pod model that we've been talking about doing, because this specifically goes from 2 teachers versus 4 teachers and says that the 2-teacher model is more effective. So no one is saying that we don't want to move forward. The only thing the motion said is, as we are moving forward, let's do more research, let's do more study, let's get our staff's input on this move as we're moving forward to do this. No one is saying we don't want to do it. We're just simply saying let's make sure that we have all of the information needed in order to make the best decision for our students.
now's the time to do it if you're gonna do it. I mean, you know, they used to say about, we go and do a study. That's why we hired a superintendent. She the one doing this, leading us in the right direction. If we continue to vote like we voting, to do things like we're doing, this district gonna fall right flat on its face.
You got a motion and a second.
Call to vote.
Is there any more discussion? I know what I need to do. Please don't enforce me to do what you want me to do, okay? We are in a meeting.
Can we keep the room in order, please?
I don't need you to tell me how to keep it in order. So.
You're not keeping the room in order.
Excuse me.
I'm trying to have a meeting, and I
We are
can't
all having a
understand what's
meeting.
going on because
We
I
are
keep
all
hearing noise
having a
from.
meeting.
Okay, well
So
then keep.
thank you for your input.
Madam Chair, call to vote is Robert's Rule of Order.
I don't need you to tell me. Secondly, we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor of it, please signify by raising your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4. So all, you know, I'm telling you, I am like so disgusted in coming into these meetings and have to go through this every meeting.
All opposed.
We are in here for our children.
Call to order.
Please stay out of it.
You got to call for a second.
You already have one, okay? Let me do this.
I am absolutely letting you do it. Do it.
The nay, please.
Thank you.
Mary, how do you vote? We have 4 and 3.
Thank you. We'll come back to you with what the plans are for the ESSA money at
You
the
want to
need
go
vote
ahead and
approval.
discuss the field trip as well?
Yeah, we have one.
For clarification, for part of the motion that was made is to help and get the planning for the alternative that we all know we need.
We don't have a place for the alternative.
If Dr. Cave, if after the sixth graders are moved from the middle school in the next year, as according to the motion just made, would then the 4 and 5Ks would then be moved from Blackstreet, and the sixth graders moved to the elementary as proposed already, correct?
That would be correct, Ms. Whitkin, but I'm not sure where the funding, are you all going to then work with us to find the funding? Because we won't have the ESSER money after that.
And we have ESSER funding through September 2024.
Right, but we won't be able to do that move through all of that time. That money has to be spent by then, so it's going to take a longer time to get that done. You're saying wait till January.
We'll look forward to working together on that one.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're going to bring back a plan for the ESSA money. Thank you.
Okay.
The field trip is for FHA. Just let me find my document.
I have mine here if you need it.
On the 702, I put it by numbers, if you just give me a moment to be able to locate it.
The one that I have is 2842.
Yeah, 28,
SC,
trip 2842.
FFA camp.
I have it, yes. It's North Myrtle Beach. We have 12 students attending, 2 adults, 14. It's $200 per student, and they'll be traveling by activity bus. It's the FFA camp. And they're leaving 6/12/23, and they'll return on 6/16/23.
Can I get a motion for the field trip, please? 2842.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the field trip for the FFA, what number?
2842.
2842.
Second.
If there is no question, all in favor of the field trip, please signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mary, I started your report, so this concludes your report,
Okay, I have one other question. I don't know if I directed it at Dr. Cave or not, but I can ask her and she can redirect if need be. In reference to the drug cases in the middle and high school in the past month, do we have a number of how many drug cases we've had in the schools? And also, are we currently still running the Sheriff's Department K-9 on our parking lots? If so, how many times have we run that in the past month?
I don't have the number in front of me. We did pull the report. Mr. McNeely, do you know how many drug cases we've had? And I request for the K-9 to come in. I haven't requested for the K-9 in probably a month or two.
Okay.
But I can make the request when I feel the need.
Okay.
Usually the principals and I work together on that.
I didn't know if we were doing it on a random once a month or if we were just.
I have not done it. I don't have it scheduled.
Okay.
Just when the principal feels as though there's a need, we normally do it that way, yeah. But can you pull those numbers? Yes, thank you.
Okay.
We can pull that document and provide it to the board.
We will now go to Human Resource. Mr. Murdoch?
At this time, I ask Ms. Hamilton to come forward.
Good evening. I do not have anything to add to my report, but we do have some things in executive session that we need to consider. We need you guys to consider. Any questions for me? No?
Thank you, Ms. Hamilton. Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Murdoch. We will now have Finance. Ms. Robel?
Ms. Barrett, thank you for the report that you gave us last Tuesday, and we're on item 9.01, General Fund, looking at the budget that we're hearing the first reading.
If you have any questions, I'll be glad to entertain them for you.
Ms. Barrett, do we have any sort of a revised draft for the budget?
The next revised draft will be on May 9th, and that'll be the second reading. I'm still waiting on numbers from the state because the Senate just sort of finished their portion of the budget. And normally when that happens, we get information from the State Department of Education, and they'll email me telling me what our funding sources can possibly be.
So from our last meeting last Tuesday to asking for us to vote on the first reading tonight, there haven't been any changes to the budget?
No, not since the first reading. There's no changes to this is the first reading, no change. You will have changes on the second reading on May 9th, yes.
Correct. I'm talking about from the draft that we were presented. We've had several drafts that there have been some changes on.
The draft was, yes, and then this the first reading, and I ran over the first reading and all the changes, and there's no changes since that first reading. The draft, it was changes since the draft, but I put those changes in the first reading, and then I ran over the first reading, and that's what we are going over tonight.
So the board's recommendation at Tuesday's meeting for there to be additional cuts to the budget, that hasn't happened?
Yes, but it's going to be in the second reading, because I'm going to be still just going over the first reading now. Normally, you have to have a first reading, and then you get the acceptance, and then you go make changes that you all gave us, and then I have a second reading, which will be on May 9th, with the changes and adoption that you all told me to make in the board, in the budget.
So tonight will be the first reading that we're voting on?
Yes, sir.
So, again, the draft from last Tuesday until today, when we're going to do our first reading vote, have there been changes since last Tuesday?
Yes, but they're not on this draft, but they will be on the second reading draft.
So tonight, if I'm correct, parliamentarian, correct me if I'm wrong, we would be accepting what she presented to us last week in the committee of the whole as a first reading. Not approving, accepting. Am I correct?
You're accepting the first reading from last week. Sorry, this is new to me. You're accepting the reading from last week, and it's just an acceptance. It's not an approval of the budget. And what I'm hearing is there will be changes that are made between now and May 9th that incorporate what was said in the Committee of the Whole. And it also will have to incorporate the changes made by the state legislature, the Senate and the House, once they reconcile. And then you can even make changes past that when you have your final reading, because we're not going to have a final budget and information from the state until June at some point. So it's just an acceptance for you to continue the process for further changes. It's not an approval.
So I make a motion that we accept the information that we were given last week, understanding that those things that we talked about will be edited, and she'll show us that on the second reading when we meet next.
Second.
For further clarification, Ms. Barrett,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just looking at your budget year, the dates that you have provided. So then this board would then vote for final acceptance of the agenda, of the budget on May the 16th. Is that correct?
The final acceptance will be on May 16th, but the approval of the budget won't be until June.
Okay.
Because we have to put it in the paper, public hearing, and all of that process first.
Got it. So first we would vote on May the 16th.
Well, you accept it, right, for the reading of 16, till we get more information from the state, the legislative body. I haven't gotten any final numbers from them yet, so until I do, you can't do a final reading, we can't adopt a budget yet until I get all that information and have a public reading for 15 days to put in the paper, and then we do acceptance in June.
Got it. Thank you.
Approval.
So basically, you're doing the first reading on the general funds, the revenue update, the budget report, and the capital project. Do you need to, because it's saying action on the
We're just doing the acceptance on the first reading. The other three are normally your monthly reports that I normally give you every month. Those are just the regular monthly reports.
Okay.
Motion was
Well,
for-
we have a motion and we have a second. If there's no other questions, do we have any more questions?
No, I was clarifying, the motion I made was
Okay.
for the first reading of the upcoming budget. Accepting that first reading.
Attorney, do you have a question? I saw you. No? Okay. All in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. 5. All opposed? 2.
Madam Chair, we heard and we have received and heard report on the monthly revenue update from Ms. Barrett last week. I make a motion that we accept the information that she provided for the monthly revenue update.
Second.
If no question, all in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous. You raise your hand. Okay, unanimous.
Madam Chair, the monthly budget report was provided by Ms. Barrett, and I'd like to make a motion that we accept what she provided to us.
Second.
If no discussion,
Budget report.
any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous.
Madam Chair, we received a capital project budget report. I make a motion that we accept that report.
Second.
Have a motion, have a second. If there's no additional questions, all in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. We have 6. All opposed? Well, it's 5 and 2.
Okay.
Ms. Barrett,
Thank you.
Ms. Barrett, I want to thank you for opening up your office when we have questions and having your staff provide us the information readily.
Okay, you're so welcome. Anytime. Thank you.
May I ask a quick question, Ms. Barrett? The capital projects for next year, we'll get that.
Yes, you will get that on May 9th.
In preparation for May 9th.
Right.
So we'll have a chance to look at it before that meeting.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
We have no curriculum and instruction. Mr. Irwin, do you need to?
I do not. If no other board members have any questions about curriculum and instruction, I'm sure Dr. Cave could answer those if you have them. If not, that concludes the report.
Okay, operation, Mr. Schreiber, do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay. Since there is none, I would like to entertain a motion that we go into executive session. Upon returning from executive session, action may or may not be taken. We're going to executive session for 12.01, 12.02, 12.03, 12.04, 12.05, 12.06, 12.07, 12.08, 12.09, and 12.10.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we enter into executive session to discuss items number 12.01, discussion of employment matters related to hirings and resignations, SC Code 30-4-70. Item 12.02, discussion of employment matter regarding a breach of contract, South Carolina Code 30-4-70. Item number 12.03, discussion of employment matters regarding compensation, SC Code 30-4-70. Item 12.04, discussion of employment matter regarding an employee grievance request, SC Code of Laws, Section 30-4-70. Item number 12.05, the receipt of legal advice related to potential social media litigation case, SC Code 30-4-70. Item number 12.06, the receipt of legal advice regarding employment matters, SC Code 30-4-70. Item number 12.07, discussion of employment matter relating to a certified contract, South Carolina Code of Law, Section 30-4-70. Item number 12.08, the discussion of employment matter regarding the superintendent evaluation instrument. Item number 12.09, the student admittance release, SC Code of Law, Section 30-4-70. And item 12.10, the receipt of legal advice related to a FOIA request, SC Code 30-4-70.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor of the motion to executive session, please signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous. We are in executive session. Thank you. Entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
Madam Chair, make a motion that we enter back into open session.
Second.
If there is no discussion, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. We are out of executive session. I entertain a motion for 12.01 and 12.07.
Okay. Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the administrative office employment,
Position 1.
number 1.
Can I get a second?
Second.
If there is no discussion, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you raise your 5? 5. All opposed? Did you raise your hand? Okay. So we have 1 opposed, and we have 1 that did not vote.
5, 1, and 1.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve administrative office, employment number 2.
Can I get a second?
Second.
If no discussion, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All opposed? 1 opposed, 1 no vote.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we rescind professional administrative recommendation and accept the transfer for that
Position. Okay.
Is that correct?
Are you okay with that, attorney? It's a
Reassignment. Yeah, reassignment. Thank you.
Would you want to rephrase it for me?
No. Oh, yeah. Madam Chair, I recommend that we rescind the administrative recommendation and reassign
There he goes.
reassign the position.
Yes. Can I get a second?
Second.
If no discussion, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All opposed? 2. 2. Yes. Okay, can I get a motion for 2.02?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we report breach of contract for employee 1 as presented to the State Department of Education.
Second.
Any discussion? If there is none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 4. All opposed? 2.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we report breach of contract to the South Carolina Department of Education for employee 2 as presented.
Second.
If no discussion, all in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. 4. All opposed? Okay, can I get a motion for 12.04?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we hear the employee grievance request as presented for employee A.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous. Okay, can I get a motion for 12.05?
Madam Chair, in light of the ongoing challenges facing students and schools related to social media issues, I move we authorize the superintendent to enter the district into the nationwide multi-district litigation against the 7 primary social media companies. I further move we authorize the superintendent in consultation with legal counsel to review and execute all necessary documents for the litigation. The litigation is at no cost to the district.
Second.
If no discussion, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Can I get a motion for 12.08?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the superintendent evaluation rubric that was presented and used last year.
Second.
If there is no question, all in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous. Can I get a motion for 12.09?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the summary of recommendations for student transfer admittance for the 2023-2024 school year as presented on 4/24 of '23.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
If there is no questions or discussion, all in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the summary of recommendations for release of student transfer requests for 2022-2023 as presented on April 24th, 2023.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
If no discussion, all in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Good night, everyone.
Yes, I was going to take it.